Hey there. It's me, Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the comment, thanks. I stayed with Marge and Barbara almost until dinner time. Just before I left, I asked about the last production, which had wrapped up just a couple of weeks earlier. It was pretty good, Marge said. We had a lot of new people in it. Mr. Tucker made Neil Broderick an assistant director on the production. Neil had played my father in my first play. Assistant director? That's nice. How did Neil do? He did fine. We think that Mr. Tucker is grooming him to take over. Take over? Yeah, Barb said. We think that the next play is going to be his last here. His last? With his mother gone, he doesn't have any more family here, nor any need to remain. We think that he's getting ready to leave. He's been cleaning out his mother's home. He's donated a lot of her things to the wardrobe and props departments. He hasn't said anything, but he might be getting ready to return to the professional theater. I nodded. It made sense. You think that he'll leave after the next play, then? Both Barb and Marge nodded, and we shared a look of despair. The community would be losing a great director, but people have to move on with their lives, and Mr. Tucker had thought about others for a long time. It was time for him to think about himself for a change, and get back to following his dream. I hugged and kissed both Barbara and Marge before I left. I told them my success was owed to them as well as to Mr. Tucker, and that I would be thinking of all of them as I went to the awards ceremony. The limo picked me up the next morning and took me to the airport. The gown was in a carry-on clothes bag, and I never let it out of my hands until I was on the plane. A flight attendant took it and put it into a kind of closet. I stood and watched it until the door was closed. I carried the bag to the Admiral's Club with me when I reached Chicago and laid it carefully on the chair next to me. When it was time to go to my next flight, I again carried the bag carefully and never relaxed my grip on the hanger part until I was on the plane. Again, a flight attendant took the bag and hung it up for me. Carol and her roommate Samantha met me at the airport to take me to the condo. Once in the car, I began to relax my death grip on the hanger. Is that your dress for the ceremony? Sam asked. Yes. Barbara created a masterpiece. Can I see? Sure, but not until we're in the condo. I don't want to risk anything happening to it. What can happen in the car? Nothing if I don't open the bag. Sam grimaced. Okay. I'll wait. For the rest of the trip to the condo, we talked about the new picture and England. I told them about the places that we had visited on our Sunday tours and the places that we still intended to visit. As soon as we had arrived at the condo and carried my things in, Sam began begging me to see the gown. I put my purse down and hung the clothes bag over a hook on the back of my bedroom door. I pulled the zipper down, exposing the gown, and lifted it out of the case and held it in front of me. Oh my God, cries, it's beautiful. If it was white, it would be like a wedding gown from a fairy tale, Carol said as she stared at it in rapt fascination. It's heavenly, Samantha breathed more than said. Barbara outdid herself on this gown. She must have worked on it exclusively for a couple of weeks. It's the most beautiful gown I've ever seen. I wish that my waist was as small as yours so that I could borrow it sometime, Carol said. Just start wearing your corset again and start retraining your waist. I dropped over 2 inches while I was making Under the Scarlet Maple because I had to wear a corset almost every day for more than 3 months. Since then, I've put it back on and I'm up to 21 inches again. That's quite all right. I'm just fine at 23 inches. Wearing a corset is torture. I'll just have to forego wearing your beautiful gown. Who's your date for the ceremony, Cries? Sam asked. Oliver. Oh, wow. He's so good looking. What's he like, really? He's a warm, caring friend. He's a good conversationalist and I enjoy his company. He was the first one that I thought of when I needed a date. I think that he's dreamy. I would love to have a date with him. Can I be here again when he comes to pick you up? Sure, Sam. On Saturday morning I dropped Carol and Sam off at the campus. They invited me to come to the beach with them, but I had an appointment with Jennifer, my publicist. I drove to her office and we spent about 2 hours talking about my career and the nomination. After that I drove over to see Sharon. I desperately wanted to see the babies. Sharon answered the door about 30 seconds after I rang. Sharon, you're gorgeous. You have your shape back already, I exclaimed. Crystal, she screamed as she rushed at me and we hugged. It's so good to see you. Come in, come in. I couldn't stay away for another minute. I flew in to see the babies. Oh, come on. I know why you're in town. You're here to pick up your award for being the best actress of the year. I giggled. I wish that were true. We both know that I don't have a chance. Not a chance. Are you kidding? I saw the picture. You were magnificent. If you don't get the award, then the Academy voters are dolts. Thanks, but let's not minimize the skills of the other nominees. They're all wonderful. I know, but I want you to win. I've already won just by being nominated. And I get to attend to the awards also. I don't need the statue. Hey, this is Sharon you're talking to. I know that you're only downplaying the importance so that you won't be crushed if you don't win. I sighed. Do you blame me? The odds would seem to be 1 in 5, but I would really put the real chances at 1 in 100. I've been watching the polls. I'm considered to be in 4th or 5th place. I don't have any delusions about winning this year, but I really am happy just to have been nominated. Okay, sweetheart. I understand. Say, want to see the kitties, Auntie Crystal? I thought that you'd never ask. Are they awake? Yes. They're in the playpen that you sent. Come on into the living room. I followed Sharon into the living room and over to the playpen. Lying on their backs staring up at the brightly colored plastic blocks that were strung on a string suspended across the top, were 2 of the most darling little babies that you ever saw. They were only 2 months old, so they couldn't move very much yet, but their eyes followed the plastic blocks as they swayed on the string. Oh, Sharon, they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Which is Sharon and which is Crystal? The only way that I can tell them apart is by looking at their right arm. Sharon has a tiny birthmark on the inside, just above the elbow. Sharon is the one on the left. I see the mark, but it's tiny. It's the only difference other than their fingerprints and footprints that I've been able to find. Footprints? Yes, they took their footprints at the hospital as soon as they were born. I guess that it's the way that they can identify them if the little plastic wristbands come off and the babies get mixed up. As we stood there talking, little Sharon began to cry, followed quickly by little Crystal. I was heating up their breakfast when the doorbell rang. Help me feed them. I took one baby while Sharon took the other into the kitchen. The bottles were sitting in a pot of warm water on the stove. We each took one, tested it on our wrists, and then sat down to feed the infants. You're using formulas? Yes. I breastfed until a week ago, but I don't have enough milk to feed them both, all that they want. I breastfeed when they wake up in the middle of the night and use formula during the day. You look wonderful. Motherhood agrees with you. It's wonderful. I get this funny feeling every time I look at the babies. I wouldn't trade the past 2 months for anything in the world. Wait until you have children. You'll see what I mean. I can't. The doctors have already told me that I can never have children. Oh, honey. I'm so sorry. And here I've been carrying on so. I'm sorry. It's okay. I share your happiness. Well, that's not all you can share. I wanted to ask you if you'd be their godmother. Godmother? Yes. You'll be officially named as godmother at their baptism. I smiled. I'd love to be their godmother. Good. We'll schedule it for right after you finish this picture. It'll have to be in the first 2 weeks of May. I start shooting the second part of Open Spaces on the 15th. My God. When are you going to take a rest? You went from Under the Scarlet Maple, to directing a play, to starring in the Mexican movie, to starring in this new one, and now the next Open Spaces movie right after this. You're going to burn out if you're not careful. I didn't plan it this way. I had intended to be in college this year. Things just kind of happened. At times I felt a little like a whore selling myself for money. No whore in the world gets the kind of money that you'll get for doing the 3 pictures in a row. How much is it? 10 million, the newspapers estimate. Closer to 15 for Tequila, Moons, and Open Spaces too, I said. I'm estimating 2.5 for the last because I don't know how much yet. It depends on the size of my part once the screenplay is written. Well, you just keep on doing what you're doing, honey, but slow down just a little and take some time for yourself. Maybe just 2 pictures a year are enough. This isn't the bad, old days when the studios controlled your life and tried to keep you working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've been lucky to get some good roles during the past year. I know that it won't continue. I don't even have any prospects for after Open Spaces too, so maybe I'll get some time off. What about college? I faced the fact that I didn't need college right away. My career is going well, so I'm putting it off until things slow down. Maybe I'll go next year if I don't get any more pictures. I wouldn't count on that. Now that you've been nominated for an Academy Award for a Best Actress, there won't be any end to the parts for a while. Be selective though. Don't take parts just because they're offering a lot of money. Mr. Daniels has been taking good care of me. He reviews the roles before sending me to the interviews. I trust him to do right by me. If my career suffers because of poor choices, his commission will drop. Then just make sure that he doesn't try to get you to take on too much. Okay, but I like to keep busy. Then here's your chance. The bottle is about empty. It's time to burp little Crystal. I stayed with Sharon and the twins until after dinner. After we put the twins to sleep, I helped Sharon with her exercises. She was determined to get back in shape to resume her career as soon as the twins were okay, to leave with a nanny. I had to leave at 8:30 because I was supposed to pick up Carol at 9. We hugged before I left and I told her that I would see her at the beginning of May. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment, thanks.